amounting to 150 pieces of information, which we're now sifting through, and we're hoping to get a result. But having said that, we've failed so far to find anyone who actually saw these criminals leaving the vicarage.
So detectives are relying really on these photo-vid pictures, hoping that someone somewhere will recognise the three men. Vernon Mann, ITN in West London.
And police have set up 2 special hotlines for anyone with information about the attackers. The numbers to ring are 01 840 3824 and 840 3874. Britain's test tube baby pioneers, Robert Edwards and Patrick Steptoe, say they're now ready to use surrogate mothers to help couples who can't have children. But Mr. Steptoe says they'll only ask relatives to stand in. Britain's first frozen embryo baby celebrated his first birthday today.
The birth a year ago of baby Gregory Jackson made medical history. Britain's first baby, born of an embryo which was kept frozen for 3 months while doctors tried to fertilize other eggs from his mother. Today, like millions of other normal, healthy children, Gregory celebrated another first, his birthday. It's an event parents Janet and Tony Jackson, 8 years trying for a child, thought they'd never experience.
The years flown by. We just enjoyed every minute of him. Sitting up crawling, now he's standing and attempting to walk and shouting like mad.
It doesn't give me time to wonder about anything. He's a full-time job. It really is. I've forgotten what sleep's like. That's the main problem. But that's nothing to worry about. Like any father. It's great. It's wonderful. Well, I don't want to sound corny, but I mean it is. It's a special day for the 3 of us.
Now Janet and Tony are saving for another attempt to add to their most precious family. Kevin Dunn, ITN, Macclesfield.
Doctors at Harefield Hospital say Kirsty Vowles, the youngest patient ever to have a heart and lung transplant, is making very good progress. The full story of Kirsty's operation is in tomorrow's News of the World. And tomorrow ITN will have the first television pictures of Kirsty since her 6-hour operation. South African police have used tear gas to break up crowds of mourners at funerals for victims of recent riots. But in Johannesburg, an extreme right-wing group accused the government of caving in by lifting the state of emergency.
Riding out of the past, the darling of South Africa's ultra-right wing. This is Eugene Terreblanche, leader of the AWB, the Afrikaner Resistance Movement. A 42-year-old farmer and self-confessed racist who sees himself as the Afrikaners' new messiah, leading the folk back 80 years to establish a homeland for his people. Despite the rural setting, it's all a throwback to Germany of the 30s. Hitler preached a similar message of national salvation. The AWB and its handful of supporters are politically irrelevant in South Africa, but they do articulate the fears of many Afrikaners, black domination. And that reality was once again being played out on the streets of Port Elizabeth this afternoon, with the now familiar clashes between mourners and police. The violent sequel to yet another funeral. With the end of the state of emergency and the lifting of the media ban, the first pictures of what has become a weekend ritual in the Eastern Cape. Peter Sharp, ITN in South Africa.
There's been a new security alert on the Queen's tour of Australia. Scotland Yard are said to have warned police there of a possible terrorist attack. The Queen is due to begin the next stage of her tour in Adelaide in 5 hours' time. More than 2,000 women marched tonight on Mr. Rupert Murdoch's new printing plant at Wapping. Police reported 6 arrests after missiles were thrown by demonstrators.
A women's march from Tower Hill to Wapping provided the focus for this latest protest. The rally was claimed to be the biggest yet in the campaign against the sacking of the News International printers. SOGAT leader Brenda Dean was joined by leaders of miners' women support groups and teachers' leaders who appealed for a widespread boycott of the Murdoch papers, financial help for families and regular attendance on the picket lines. The SOGAT leader claimed the boycott campaign was succeeding, though that's disputed by Mr. Murdoch, and she said there would have to be a negotiated settlement. The TUC is pursuing that. A small knot of Wapping workers going in drew a by now well-practiced response. The Print Union leader led 5 other women through the police barrier to take the place of the official pickets outside the gates of the plant. Michael Green, ITN, Wapping.
Now sport, and while England's cricketers took a drubbing in Trinidad, Britain's top tennis team took the honours.
John Embury took 5 wickets on the second day of the second test at Trinidad today, but it didn't make much of a dent in the West Indian score. The score at the close of play was West Indies 347 for 8, in reply to England's first innings total of 176. Jeremy Thompson watched a trying day for the tourists.
Greg Thomas's bowling's been a real revelation on this tour. Today, his speed and aggression once again won the respect of the West Indies batsmen. With Ellison's swing and control at the other end, Haynes had a thoroughly uncomfortable morning, while Richardson had a taste of how the England batsmen must feel, pinned down in every sense. But that merely seemed to sting Richardson into life. As the bowlers tired, he launched into the attack. The sight of both them brought an extra flourish to his batting. Both them badly out of sorts had now been hit for 64 in just 9 overs as England's policy of containment fell apart. Richardson rapidly rid himself of his own poor form, unveiling a lavish array of strokes as the boundary boards began to rattle and the conch shells began to blow. The 24-year-old Antiguan hit 18 fours and one glorious disdainful 6 to reach his first Test century against England. Soon after, the spinners finally stopped his romp, Embury finding a top edge for Downton to glove. How Haynes still survived was a mystery. Embury's face mirrored England's frustration, though at least the flow of runs had now dried to a trickle. But after batting 4 hours for 67, Haynes went to a smart piece of stumping, and the crowd seemed almost as pleased as England to see the back of him. In fact, Downton had a pretty mixed session, missing best, but then whipping the bails off when Gomes tried to break free. Almost inevitably, though, Viv Richards shrugged off the shackles, immediately dispatching Edmonds into a crowd of delighted admirers. Jeremy Thompson, ITN Sport in Trinidad.
The road to Wembley is still looking a little fog-bound, with results coming from only 2 out of the 3 cup matches played today. Watford are through to a quarter-final against Liverpool after finally beating Bury 3-0. Luton and Egerton failed to resolve their differences the first time round, the match at Kenilworth Road ending in a 2-all draw. The only side through to the semi-finals is Southampton.
Brighton were the first to threaten through centre-back Eric Young. But First Division Southampton began to dominate, and Steve Moran forced Perry Digweed into action. And it was Moran who scored after 11 minutes. The ball was played wide to George Lawrence. His cross was good. The finish was emphatic. 1-0 to Southampton, who haven't won a league match away from home for a year. But they're a different team in the Cup and soon clinched their 3rd away success of this campaign. Andy Townsend's break and Glenn Cockrell dances through the remnants of Brighton's defence to make it 2-0. In the second half, the Seagulls of Brighton fluttered only to deceive. So it's the Saints from Southampton blessed with a place in the semi-finals. David Bobin for ITN Sport at the Goldstone.
In the Scottish Cup, Hibs beat Celtic 4-3 to go through to the semi-finals, and Dundee United beat Motherwell 1-0 to join them. But Dundee and Aberdeen are undecided after a 2-all draw. John Lloyd and Colin Dowdeswell have completed a superb performance from Britain's Davis Cup tennis team, winning the doubles against Spain. They'll now play Australia or New Zealand in July. The by now veteran partnership between Lloyd and Dowdeswell relished the prospect of taking on one of the world's best pairings, and they led the Spaniards quite a merry dance. The Spanish team were already 2-love down in the rubber and were further demoralised as the British pair took their game apart. Dowdeswell's winner gave Britain the first set, and in the next, he displayed his shrewd command of doubles tactics. As they raced towards a straight sets victory, the poor Sergio Casal was going through a particularly torrid time. John Lloyd was as dynamic as ever. In this mood, he was ready to take on all comers. They were now through to match point. And Lloyd and Dowdeswell now remain unbeaten since they started out together in Davis Cup tennis. A spectacular display of riding by jockey Gerald Oxley helped the Queen Mother to a treble at Sandown this afternoon. Riding special cargo, Oxley had to hang on when his stirrup leather snapped. Kicking off the other iron, Oxley safely negotiated 4 fences to beat Pridell for the Grand Military Cup.
He's upsides. Pridell just having it up towards the line. And special
The Queen Mother was there to receive the trophy, the first of 3 she took home from Sandown.
That's the news tonight. Good night.
After the accidents at the Sellafield nuclear plant, should it be closed down? Watch Weekend World live tomorrow at noon on ITV.
A look at the central weather for the rest of the weekend. Although clear at first tonight, cloud will spread from the west before dawn, giving outbreaks of rain. Temperatures will fall to 2 degrees Celsius, 36 Fahrenheit, early in the night, but will rise later. Sunday will be mostly cloudy with showers at time, but some drier, brighter spells are likely by the afternoon. And the temperatures will reach 8 degrees Celsius with light southeasterly winds, should I say. And the outlook for Monday and Tuesday, mostly dry and sunny with overnight frost.
The Tuesday movie is The Sword and the Sorcerer, a fantasy tale of bygone days when the powers of darkness could be summoned by evildoers and magical swords were forged by the forces of good.
Tell us where he is and save us all.
The Sword and the Sorcerer, the Tuesday movie at 10:35 on Central.
Next on Central, Lisa Minnelli, Phil Collins and Wayne Sleep join Michael Aspel for some relaxed but revealing chat.
Be lucky to get there on time now. More roadworks. Be lucky to get there at all. There's the answer. A car phone lets you keep in touch, and everyone's getting them. For great service and a great deal, contact FCA Telecom. Now in Birmingham at 81 Gravelly Industrial Park, Tyburn Road. Call now on free phone 3232.
Crufts, where from every type and size of dog, the best challenge the best.
And what a year for dogs fed on Pedigree Chum. Success after success. In fact, for a record 110 best of breed winners and 5 out of 6 finalists, Pedigree Chum was with them all the way. To a supreme champion at Crufts 1986, the story is the same. She's a dog regularly fed on Pedigree Chum and Pedigree Chum mixer.
No wonder top breeders recommend it.
With 3 different printers clacking away in our office, we had to shout to make ourselves heard. Then we got... And now it's ever so quiet. But old habits die hard, don't they, Shannon? Yes!
For faxed professional computers and supplies for a more efficient office, get Xerox in.
Now, Mann Egerton, go one better with new car discounts plus low-cost finance. Because we're going all out with a fantastic stock clearance of brand new Austin Minis, Metros, Maestros and Montegos at amazing prices. Plus low-cost finance at just 4.5% for up to 3 years. So if you want the best deal, go one better, only at Mann Egerton.
Right, time to tell those two to stop.
Never in a month of Sundays.
Right, it's time to stop that rotten pop.
When you can't hear yourself speak, then it's time to stop the beat, or they'll never know it's time to eat.
Never in a month of Sundays.
When Bisto ground seasons thickens all in one, that means Sunday lunch is really done. No one minds when you stop the beat of Bisto, 'cause you can't beat Bisto in the never in a month of Sundays.
Nationwide Bonus Builder is a remarkable savings scheme that you can start with just £100. And as your savings grow, Bonus Builder automatically pays you higher interest, so larger savings get Nationwide's top rate of 9.5%. And yet, you can take money out again at any time with no loss of interest. But while your money is growing, it's helping to fund schemes like this one on Merseyside for the first-time buyers and the retired. It's all part of putting the building back into society at Nationwide.
Perfect fries start like this, look like this, taste like this, and come to you like this.
Love is the sweetest thing. What else on earth could ever bring such happiness to everything as love's old story. Love is the greatest thing, the oldest yet the latest thing. I only hope that fate may bring love story to you.
Sundays at 7:45 on Central, anything can happen because it's Surprise Surprise.
Goodness gracious me, oh, this is terrible.
I'm Clegg, surprise, surprise.
Hello, Marion. Surprise, surprise. It's Cilla here.
Reunions, wish fulfillment, tears and laughter. It's all in Surprise Surprise. Are you? Surprise Surprise, Sundays at 7:45 on Central.
Central on Saturday night, and what better way to spend it than in the presence of some rather fine company.
Thank you very much, and hello. What a triumphant week. England beat the West Indies. Frank Bruno won the big fight. And for myself, a boyhood dream came true when I attended a variety club lunch in honour of Jane Russell. In fact, I sat on her right hand. She just used her fork, of course. I must say many happy returns of the day to Michael Grade, who is nephew of Sir Lew and controller of BBC One. Now, he was once a senior executive here at LWT, and I remember him at a do standing next to a colleague who was wearing a jacket that looked like an attack of migraine. It was all spots and zigzags, and Michael said, if you had an outdoor area...
Across the ring, a left and a right to the head, or hard left.